Welcome, welcome. Good morning, everyone, as you are joining in. We'll get started in a few moments. Glad to have you guys here. Looks like it's all women so far. And I am all for our women in wealth. So it'll be great. Welcome, welcome. As we still have about 4 or 5 more minutes, if you ladies would like to unmute yourself as you are joining in and introduce yourselves, that would be great. If not, that's fine too. We'll get started, but you are welcome to. To have you guys here. Looks like it's all women so far. I am all for our women in wealth. So it'll be great. As we still have about 4 or 5 more minutes, if you ladies would like to unmute one as you are joining in, introduce yourselves, that would be great. If not, that's fine too. We'll get started, but you are welcome to. To have you guys here. Looks like it's all women so far. I am all for to see that there are so many people who are ready to change their financial outlook. Very happy to be able to have you guys here. Welcome to the room, those that are just joining. We're just going to give everyone a few minutes to get into the room before we get started, but it's good to see you guys. And like I just said a few minutes ago, it's good to see that everyone is female. We still have about 4 or 5 more minutes. If you ladies would like to unmute as you are joining in. That is who I prefer to work with. So it's good to see you guys here. Welcome and good morning. Give everyone one more minute before we get started. All right, so it is 11 o'clock. So thank you, ladies, for joining. Hello, Miss Antonisha. Welcome. You said you have your 18-year-old son with you. That is a blessing because this information is just here for us to be able to share not only with each other, but also with our children and generations to come. And unfortunately, the information that I'm going to be sharing with you today is not taught in schools. So I am very happy to be able to have you here on my How Money Works quick webinar. And it says on Eventbrite that it's going to be 2 hours. It's only going to be about an hour, maybe hour and a half, depending on how many questions you guys have at the end, any information that you're looking forward to afterwards. Okay. But again, people are still coming into the room, but I promised an 11 o'clock start, so I will do that. And again, welcome, welcome, welcome. Today, we're going to be talking about how money works. And I want to introduce myself to all of you. I am Rhonda Bird Hemphill, and I'm a licensed insurance and investment broker, a registered representative with America Financial Services. And the services that I offer are a plethora. I like to call myself the Amazon of financial services because I offer everything to help the everyday average family to be able to build wealth and actually build the life that we dream of. We all work hard and we go to work every day, whether it's still here in the office, still here at the home office, or if you actually gone back to work or never stopped working. We do this for a reason. None of us like it, but we do it to have the life that we want to live. And a lot of times we find ourselves challenged and looking at the bills and how am I going to pay this? And my hours have been cut or I've been laid off or whatever the issues are with this pandemic that you may be facing. I offer all of the services that you see on the screen here. Again, like in Amazon of financial services, they start with debt resolution. So many of us have debt like student loans or credit card debt because we're using credit cards to make our way through life. I help families to overcome that debt with debt resolution, and I'll share some of those strategies with you here in the program today. I also help with income protection and life insurance, building wealth using these tools for not only yourself, but for generations to come. I help with mortgage insurance. God forbid one of the heads of household were to pass away, and you have that big bill called a mortgage after the death of a loved one. So many families are devastated when that happens. So mortgage insurance can help with that. I help families with wealth building, retirement planning, kids college funding, building the life that you want by planning your dreams, not just having a dream up in the clouds, but actually planning your life out so that you can vacation and live the life that you want to live. I offer business opportunities, wills and trusts, estate planning, home security systems, ID theft protection. The list goes on and on and on. But today, we are going to discuss how money works. And that's why we came together today. And my computer's running a tad slow. Come on, darling. There we are. So that's what we're doing today. We are going to talk about how money works. So the first thing I want to start you guys with is what you can do, because so many of us just kind of believe that financial independence is not a reality. If you guys really quickly pick up your phone and just Google financial independence and really understand what that means. Financial independence is having the amount of money that you need to do the things that you want to do when you want to do them. So how many of us can actually say, I can take a vacation tomorrow if I want? Well, if you're financially independent, you can make decisions like that. So that is the goal for every client that I sit with, is to help them become more financially independent, because it's not out of reach. That's not the truth. It's within reach. We just haven't been taught how to do it. So some of the things that you can do is, number one, you can get out of debt. It may be huge. It may be $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 or more in debt, but you can get out of it. You also can build savings to change your trajectory in your finances. And we can definitely get you on the path to financial independence. And how do we do that? Well, it's because I help you to take control. Did you know that the biggest financial mistakes that people make is that they put their dependence on others, and they're actually not even in control of their finances. Those others, could be the job, it could be someone else is handling your 401k. And the real secret to financial independence is that you need to be in control of what's going on with your money in every aspect. So let's look at some of the things that you can control. The first thing is you can pay yourself first. Next, you can adjust your priorities. One thing that is 100% key is to change your thinking. And I also offer some financial coaching with individuals that maybe grew up in a household that didn't have an open mindset about finances. So sometimes we're just raised with thinking that doesn't allow us to see better for ourselves. So we can adjust that thinking. And when we adjust that thinking, you also can adjust your lifestyle. You can earn additional income, and you can avoid the whole credit trap. But in order to do any of this, we have to set goals and have a plan. So the first thing we look at is what we can't control. But we also look at what we can control. So we all know Social Security is a dead horse that we're still trying to pull money out of. However, it's still there, and some people really rely on it heavily for their lifestyle. However, if you were to retire today, You may get $300 to $600 depending on what your income was. But if you averaged about 60,000 a year, yeah, you could expect $300 to $600 a month from Social Security, which definitely is not enough to live off of. You also can't control your boss, your employer, the decisions that they make as your employer. There's nothing you can do about that. Taxes, inflation, raising costs. I mean, come on, we know what we can't control, right? But some of the things that we can control and we must control is what we save for retirement. We all need multiple sources of income. If 2020 didn't teach us that, how many business owners went belly up because they only had that one source of income? It's sad, but it's true. We have to find ways to reduce our taxes, maximize our savings, begin saving more, and of course, diversify. We have to diversify where our income sources are coming in and what our investment choices are. So let's go a little bit deeper into some of these concepts. The first is paying yourself first. Now, this one isn't easy because most of us, let's face it, we all have bills to pay every month. And a lot of people at the end of the month have no money left. And they're just waiting for that next check, and they live check to check. It's just the way that the American dream has put us, the place that it's put us in. And it's just the way it is. But the solution is, if you can take at the first of the month, before you pay anybody else, DTE, Consumers Ed, whoever you're writing your checks to, credit card bills, lights, gas, water bills. But if you can pay yourself first, take 10% of what your income is and put it up every month, that's the single best thing you can do to change your whole financial life. Let's look at what that looks like. So let's say someone does make $60,000 a year. That's pretty average for most. And we look at how many years they work, making $60,000 a year. Let's say 40 years. If you start working around 25, you retire around 65. So let's say 40 years. So someone who works for 40 years making $60,000 a year, they bring in $2.4 million. For those of you who make around that, I bet you never thought about how much you actually bring in over this course of time. But if we look at how much we're saving, the sad thing is, researchers say that most people don't have $1,000 saved in the bank because, again, they're living check to check. So let's say someone's good and they actually have $2,500 saved. That's only 0.0.01% of their income, which is really sad because we really just don't know how to save. But again, that's what we're here to share today. There are 3 accounts that you must create to have the peace of mind and the financial freedom that we're all looking for. These may seem like basic concepts, but they are the foundation to build wealth. First, you need an emergency fund. You've all heard this before, 3 to 6 months of cushion, just in case you lose a job, or your car needs to be repaired, or God forbid, there's a storm and your insurance doesn't cover the damage on your home. Next, we need short-term savings. Again, just a little more wiggle room as to maybe kids are going to college and I want a little cushion to be able to buy a car for my kid. Or maybe I want to buy a vacation home. That's a way that I can have my down payment. And then there are long-term savings and investments that are more looking at what does life look like after I can no longer work? Is my life in the nursing home? Or is my life on the beach? Because, Florida's full of retirees that have actually done the right thing. So that's definitely what we all need to be thinking about at the beginning. I should say and when we have those 3 specific accounts, we can begin to use time and consistency to actually grow our money. So this is very fun. It pays to start investing early. So for the beautiful young lady that said that she has her son on and she typed in the chat earlier. This is for you, young man. A one-time investment of $1,000 with a 9% rate of return, which is about average for what my clients get. If you start, you invest that one time, by the time you are 67 years old, that $1,000 will grow to $406,000. I'm sorry, because he's 18. So we'll look at the second one. It grows to about $96,000. If you started at birth, it would have grown to $406,000. And then if you're 40 years old, which most of us, when we start thinking about what our money is doing, we're around that late 30s, early 40s, early 50s range. It's going to grow to about $11,000 for us by the time we retire. But let's say, we want a little more than that. And if our goal is to have $500,000 for retirement, look at what the age difference when we start saving looks like. So if you start at 25, yeah, you can make it to $500,000. If you start at age 35, it takes you about $224 as opposed to a little less than $100 a month to get there. That's maybe about 2 times more than it would 10 years ago. If you're age 45 like me, you have to save about $600 a month to have $500,000 by the time I retire. And Lord forbid we wait till we're 55. We got to put up almost $2,000 a month just to hit that magic number of 500,000. So time definitely is everything. So again, I commend you, Mom, for having your son on here so he can see how money grows and that the time is of the essence right now. And even though most of our millennials are on one side of the fence or the other, I have some millennials that get this and they're saving now because they don't want to wait on a check. They don't want to wait on their parents. They don't want to wait on the system. They know the system's flawed and they're doing this now. Well, where I have the others who, still are like every other teenager and they figure they have all of their life to wait for these things. I really appreciate those young ones that are ready to change their lives. So again, the sooner we begin to save, the greater the potential growth in our investment. Because again, with the high cost of waiting, if we're like most people, we don't have a lot of money to save. So that's why time is definitely critical. When you're young, you can save small amounts that give you large rewards. If you wait too long, it takes much more to get to the same desired result. So I want to talk a little bit about the power of compounding interest, okay? Because that's what helps your money grow. We all hear about interest rates, and it really only affects us as consumers as we're paying our credit cards or if we are getting a loan, because that's how much money we have to pay. But we never flip the script and think about how much we're earning, because that credit card company is earning anywhere from 15 to 25% interest, which means their money is growing far more than our retirement accounts are. And so that's why debt is so critical to remove it from our lives, because it eats away at everything. But here, look at just $100 a month. Let's say it's compounding. Again, this is hypothetical because the market is up and down, but we're going to say an average of 9%. And the totals are more than $470,000 after 40 years. But let's just look when you contribute $20,000 versus contributing $100 a month. $20 worth compared to $100 a month. For 10 years, that $20 is going to grow to almost $4,000. $100 though is going to grow to almost $20,000. Look at that, it's such a big difference. And then if we only contribute $20 over 40 years, it's barely going to make it to $100,000. But again, look at that compounding at $471,000 at $100 over the same length of time. So how do we get these numbers? Because again, I'm not up here just to flash numbers at you. I really want you to understand how this stuff works. So it's important that you understand how interest rates work and what is called the Rule of 72, discovered by Benjamin Franklin a few hundred years ago when they were all building this great country. So let's say you have an inheritance of $10,000 and it's left to your brand new baby. If you put that into an account that's receiving 3% interest, that 3%, that $10,000 is going to double every 24 years at 3% interest. So by the time the kid's 48 years old, they'll have $40,000. But in an account that's receiving a 6% rate of return on their investment, that $10,000 is going to double faster. Every 12 years, it's going to double. So by age 48, they have $160,000 of an investment. However, if we can get them into an account that's stable at 12% interest, based on the rule of 72, it's going to double every 6 years. And by the time they're 48 years old, how much are they going to have? $2.5 million. So how awesome is this? Okay. And so that's why it's important to know how interest works in your favor and where to put your money. Because if we're putting it in Chase, in a savings account, in Comerica Bank, Huntington Bank, even if we use their CDs at a whopping, they'll dance and have signs everywhere at a whopping 1.2%. What is that getting us? It's getting us nowhere. It's important to know where to place your money that's the safest and it's going to give you the best rate of return. So again, looking at $1,000 investment with 3, 6, and 9% rates of return, you see the difference now. Okay, and this is the impact that understanding how the compounding of interest works. And this is why most people are not wealthy, because we don't know where to put our money to get this type of growth. So let's look at this one. This bit of savings here, $100 a month at 4.5% and 9%. Blue obviously is the 9%, 746,000 versus 175. Where do you want your money, guys? Feel free to put it in the chat. You want it in the account with 4.5% or 9%? This is a no-brainer, right? All right, so now that you guys understand compounding interest, the next concept to think about is paying off your debt. Is there anyone in the room that has debt that they'd like to get paid off? I'm sure all of the names will go up. All of your hands would go up. Of course, of course. So did you know with your debt, this is the bad news. Again, I told you interest rates for the person who is receiving the interest that is growing. But if you have a one-time purchase, let's say you went to, I'm trying to think of a furniture store that everyone's familiar with. Let's just say you went to the furniture store and you picked up a sofa and it was $3,000. And you had an 18% interest rate on your credit card. And you didn't make any more purchases. Just the sofa, nothing else is there. It would take you 10 years to pay that off with whatever their minimum payment structure would be. The way that they set things up for us, it would take 10 years to pay that off. And then you know that you'd end up paying almost double for that product, for that sofa, with $2,000 in interest. What in the world are we doing with our credit cards? And this is what happens that gets us swallowed whole, because when we are paying our minimums, you know, you send them $200 or $300, and then you look at your balance and it's like it moved maybe 100, if that much, maybe $60. And you're like, I just sent them 300. How is it only a $60 difference? Because most of your money is going where? To them in interest. So this is what we all face when we're paying our credit cards off. And this is how debt is like a cancer, really eroding away our financial security. Because if we could just purchase things for what they are, it would make all the world of difference. But there is a difference between revolving debt and fixed debt. With revolving debt, it may take 17 years and 2 months to pay off that sofa, or a whole dining room set and the sofa. Whereas if that debt was fixed at $595, we'd only have to pay $5,000 in interest. So revolving debt is definitely more disastrous to us than fixed debt. But that's where we come in with our debt stacking concept. And this is something, is there anyone in the room who has heard of Dave Ramsey? I'm sure many of you have. These concepts I'm about to share with you now, you would pay about $1,500 to be in his program to learn how to do this for yourself. Okay? Or you'd have to spend money on his books to learn this, and you're going to learn this for free today. So we're going to pretend that this is you guys. This is your debt, and I'm sitting down with you and your family, and we're going to develop a strategy for you. It's also called debt snowballing, if you've ever heard of that before. Well, first we're going to look at your credit cards, and we're going to see how much your minimum payment is. I'm going to ask that you continue paying all your minimums, but you're going to pay $220 on this first retail card until it's paid off. And once that first card is paid off, what do most people do? They just go and spend more money on it. No, please don't. Spank your hand. We're going to take that card and we're going to cut it up. And we're going to take that $220 and we're going to add it to the next debt that you have. So instead of paying the minimum of $353, you're going to pay $567 on this new price that you're going to send out for your debt, the new amount that you're going to send out. And then you're going to continue paying your car loan and your other credit cards and your mortgage, everything else you continue to pay the same. But then as the credit card number 2 is paid off, what do? We take that $573 and we add it to the car loan. So now I'm sending $1,100 on top of my car loan. So that means that's an extra $573 on the principal. So that is going to disappear. That debt is going to dissolve so quickly. And once that happens, I have $1,124 extra dollars. That doesn't mean go spend it. It means roll it into the next debt. And once I can roll that into the next debt, that credit card's paid off like magic. And then I can put an extra $1,400 on the principal every month of my mortgage. What do you think is going to happen with that mortgage then? Even if it's a 15-year mortgage, a lot of people say, hey, it's a 15-year mortgage. I got it good. Okay, well, let's pay it off even sooner. Yeah, so the point of all of this is to not have debt anymore and to use what you already make and what you're already doing, except to do it smarter. Because once you know how money works, you can have it work for you, not against you. And that's why we're here today. So right now, the way that you're doing things is in this gray section. It would take you 23 years, even with a 15-year mortgage, let's say 23 years to pay everything off. You don't avoid paying any interest. You pay over $200,000 in interest, and your monthly payments are $2,720. With debt stacking or debt snowballing, you pay everything off in 9 years, 14 years sooner. You avoid over $100,000 in paying in interest, which is just your money going out the window. And the interest paid is only $83,000. And your monthly payments are still so If you notice, the monthly payments did not change at all. So again, we're doing exactly the same. We have the same amount of money coming in every month. You have the same bills every month, but we're taking a strategy that works for you, because this is all done in a computer system. It works for you, and you know exactly to the month and day that all your debts will be paid and you'll be financially independent. Isn't that awesome? So I love doing this for a family. Absolutely. But I do want you to avoid these common credit mistakes as well. Now I should probably say, are there any questions in the chat room? Anyone have any questions before I move on to the next concept? No questions? Okay. So the next common credit mistakes we have are not valuing your credit. Allowing the credit card companies to send you congratulatory letters saying, hey, you just qualified to raise your credit card limit. Another mistake is not monitoring your credit history, even if it's just Credit Karma. You should know what's going on with your credit at all times and your credit score. And then the other thing is not knowing the interest rates and fees that you're being charged. Because again, like I said, just like it can work for you, it works against you with credit card debt. The next concept is to make sure that you buy the right type of life insurance. One of the most important expenditures that we have should be your life insurance. The reason why it's most important is, and also the most misunderstood, is because a lot of people look at life insurance as just money to cover the death of a loved one. Instead, it should be a major factor in your family's security for the future, okay? To make sure that you have the right quality of life. This picture here says it all with the husband and wife and the child. If you notice, the husband's gone. So without that income coming in, the life of the wife and the child can be very different. And so life insurance actually protects them, just like that umbrella, so that they still have the income that they would have if the husband was still there. This is very, very important to me because I am a widow. And unfortunately, I did not have the right life insurance. This was before I started my business that I have here with you guys, which is why I'm so passionate about making sure that people understand we had the wrong type of insurance. And when my husband passed away, we received nothing because it wasn't within the stipulations. His death was not within the stipulations of the life insurance policy. I didn't know, but knowing's half the battle, and I know now and share with all of you guys. So let's just look a little bit more into life insurance. First of all, how much is your car worth? When you pull it off the lot, it immediately depreciates, But we still have to insure it just in case something happens. How much is our house worth? Well, a few $100,000 at least. And we insure it for a little bit more than that because of also personal belongings inside of it in case something happens. But then how much is our lives worth? A lot more than our car and our house. But there are quite a few people that do not have insurance on themselves. So it's really sad, but I want you guys to understand how life insurance should work while you're building wealth. Okay? In the early years, while your children are growing, while they still need you, while you're still paying your mortgage, while you don't have a lot of money saved up, you need insurance. Definitely need insurance because you don't have money. But when you retire, hopefully your children are doing well and you've raised them to take care of themselves. You don't have all the debt that you had when you were raising your children. The mortgage is paid off, and now you need retirement income. So hopefully your retirement planning went well and you have money coming in from that $500,000 we were just talking about. So in the later years, you really don't need as much life insurance because you're not looking to cushion someone's lifestyle. Your kids are grown, so they're good. You can still leave them a little inheritance, but you don't need life insurance like you do when the kids are young. And if something happened to one of you, life would be devastating for them versus when they're adults. So, of course, just like Dave Ramsey and Susie Orman and all the other experts say, the best type of insurance is term insurance for pure protection, like fire insurance or auto insurance. The sole function of it is to support your family if you die. So you can buy large amounts of coverage for small amounts of money because your family really needs those big policies. Okay. And there's other stuff from Susie Orman and other guys on here. I'm not going to read the slides for you, but you guys get the idea. I'm a strong supporter of term insurance and proper savings. What we offer is the lowest in the industry. American Financial Services does not advertise because you won't know a catchy phrase. You're in good hands with, anybody want to say who that company is? What's another? Another one is blank is on your side. And you get it. You know about the little lizard. You know about the strange lady that makes us laugh. All of those people are paid very well. And advertisement is very expensive. And where do you think insurance companies get that money from? Yeah, you pay for that advertisement. And so as we compare ourselves to the industry, per $1,000 worth of protection, our cost about $3, $3.50 compared to 10. And we insure people for much higher than what the industry average is. Most of my folks are covered for $350,000, $400,000 to $500,000 for much less than you would think. So our philosophy really is 3 nevers of buying life insurance. Never buy any type of cash value in your insurance, including universal life. The reasons why, and if any of you already have life insurance, I highly, when you get off of this call, you call your agent and ask them this question. You are paying for life insurance and a cash value, but when you pass away, your family only gets to pick one. You're paying for 2 things, but you only receive one. No matter what kind of name they put on it, that's the way they all work. So at the end of the day, why pay for 2 things instead of just paying for 1 at a lower rate? You're paying for 2 at a higher rate, just pay for your insurance at the rate that it should be. Never buy life insurance as an investment. It's not an investment, it's your insurance, and that's what you'll receive at the end. And if you use it as an investment, the company's going to take that money out of the policy for themselves, and your family will only receive what's left over. And so, and the third is never buy a policy that pays dividends. It's all the same. Whatever they pay you out of that, they're going to take out of your life insurance. So it just doesn't make sense to do that. So call your insurance agents if you have that and ask them if that's true, because that's just the industry standard. If they tell you that it's not, go ahead and read your own policy, or I'll help you read it if you reach out to me. The next thing you want to do is defer taxes. We all know Uncle Sam's got his hand out in everything, okay? Everything. So if we know that Uncle Sam has his hand out in everything, we need to look at how can we defer taxes, okay? Do you have a job? Then you have a tax problem. The harder you work to get ahead to build your income, the more taxes you pay. Have you guys noticed that? The more income you bring in, the higher your taxes are. In order to have the maximum cash at retirement, we need to figure out a way to minimize our taxes. So here, we're going to look at 3 phases. The first here is no taxes deferred in yellow here, in that cream color. The lighter blue is going to be what happens when our taxes on return deferred. And then the third is taxes on contribution and return deferred until distribution. Okay, so it's 3 ways to invest your money, 3 ways to save. And as you begin to pay yourself first, you can invest the money that you've earmarked for long-term goals. You guys remember that from the beginning of the presentation? You can set that through tax-deferred retirement accounts. And this allows you to postpone paying taxes on your earnings. That actually means that you have more money allowed in the actual account to grow and compound. So we know the more that we invest in there, the faster it grows. And then we'll look at how taxes are taken out at the end of each year's savings. Okay. So first, I want to just educate you guys a little bit on the terminology of deductibility versus deferrability. So when your employer, takes a deduction out of your check every month, it's actually an amount of money that you can subtract from your gross income before they actually calculate the taxes, okay? So it actually helps you to pay less in taxes too from your job. So when that FICA part and all that stuff starts showing up at the bottom, they'll look at how much you actually have. Not that part that was deducted won't be included. Okay, so that's the first way that you can be paid to deduct because you're getting taxed on less money. Okay, and always, I'm not a tax advisor. Disclaimer, I am an insurance and investment advisor. So I definitely ask that you run these things that I'm sharing with you past your tax advisor, just to make sure that your personal situation, this fits for you. This is just all hypothetical right now, okay? Now that's a deduction. A deferral actually means you can postpone the payment of your current taxes until a later time, which is actually usually at retirement. And so the good thing about that is you'll be in a lower tax bracket. Yeah, we get around Uncle Sam's little rules. And so you won't have to pay as much because your income will be lower on your tax, on the money that you pull out. So if we do this right and we deduct when we're young, so we're paying less taxes on our gross income because our gross is going to be lessened because we have that little bit that's going away every month for our retirement. And then when we pull that money out at retirement, we'll get a lower tax bracket. So we also will pay less taxes on that money when we pull it out. So that's how those two work together. All right. And again, if you guys at any time have any questions, just let me know. Now, I have a question to ask you guys about IRAs. Which one would work best for your situation? First of all, what's an IRA, right? IRA stands for Independent or Individual Retirement Account. That means it belongs to you, not your job, not your employer, not your husband, not your wife, unless you put them as a beneficiary, but it's yours. It's your money that you can choose what to do with it, okay? Now, there are 3 kinds. There's a traditional IRA, which is a deductible. So we just explained what deductible was. So that money comes off the top of your money and gets put away. And then we have a traditional IRA, which is not deductible. So we can't take it off the top. You still get charged the extra taxes on your full gross. And then we have a Roth IRA, which is not deductible, but also is not taxed at all at the end. Okay? I know y'all like, how we get around not being taxed, right? Okay, we'll talk about it in just a second. Let me find my little notes and see where I am here. Okay. So let's start with the traditional IRA. It's deductible. So like I said, you're actually able to take that off of your gross so that you're not taxed on all that gross. So you have the tax savings now and the tax deferral at retirement. You have both. It saves you money by giving you and your spouse the potential to contribute up to $6,000 each a year off the top of your gross, which then reduces your taxes every year and how much you have to pay in taxes or how much you should have had to pay in taxes. And then it postpones the payment of taxes on the early earnings because it's going to grow. And as your money is growing, it's just sitting there growing bigger and bigger. And then in retirement, you're taxed at a lower bracket when it comes out. And that's a traditional individual retirement account. Next, we're going to look at a non-deductible traditional. So here, your earnings again on your IRA are tax deferred until retirement. So you can't get around you can't deduct it from your gross. You don't get the tax break on the front end, but you do get it on the back end. So if you exceed certain income limits, your traditional IRA contributions may not be deducted from your tax bill, but your non-deductible contributions will grow. So your money's growing on a tax deferred basis. So even though you weren't able to deduct, again, it's compounding, it's getting bigger and bigger, and then you just pay a smaller amount on the back end when you retire. Okay? But then there is the Roth, my personal favorite. Contributions aren't deductible though. You're using your money after taxes. So this is, you got your check and you're going to put some money away. This is normal savings. However, your money gets to grow and your earnings are tax-free. And that's because your contributions are made with after-tax money. So when you withdraw your money, even though it's grown bigger and it's more money than it was when you started, you don't have to pay any taxes on it. Yay! I love this. So think about that. Think about having more control over your money and having not to pay taxes or lowering your tax obligations, just how you're saving money. And these are all simple tips that you can use with the right financial planner to get to what we call your financial independence number at the end when it's time for you to retire. You should know how much money you need to retire to have the life that you want to live. And these are just different ways that you can save money. How many of you know how your money is growing right now in your 401k at work or 403b? Do you even know if it is growing? Those are all questions that I would ask when I sit down with my families to see where they want to be in the future to make sure that what they're doing right now is going to get them there. I know these numbers are a little small, guys, but I want you to get the gist of what I'm showing you here. This is the time value of money. And before I move on to this, there is a space for questions. Does anyone have questions about IRAs before I move on? Okay, I don't see any hands raised. So here, we're just going to look at how contributions work. So we have two people. One person started young, but then they fell off. They forgot. They just left the money in the bank, in their account, in their investment account, and it just sat there. The other person started contributing at 30. So one started at 22, forgot about it, stopped at 29. The other one started at age 30 and continued on until they retired. Who has the most money? Look at that. So the person who started at 22, even though they stopped investing and only invested 8 years, 7 years at 48,000, that's all they put away. But they ended up with 2.2 million. Whereas the other person who started at 30 contributed 228,000 and they ended up with 2 million. So again, both of these guys are getting 9% interest rate, but because of the factor of time Individual A, even though they stopped investing, has more. Isn't that wonderful? It just goes to show how time is your friend when you're investing. The next concept we're going to talk about is becoming an owner and not a loaner. I don't know how many of you are spiritual-based people, but it does say in the Bible not to be a debtor, and that was a no-no. So I also teach people how to bypass the middleman. What's the middleman? The bank, Chase, Comerica, Fifth Third, Huntington, Citibank, all of them. They're the middleman. Have you ever thought about what they do with your money when you put it in the bank? I know what they do with it. They invest it into the market, and they lend it back to you in the form of a credit card. But we never think about that when we go to the bank and apply for a credit card, that it's your money that's being used to share with everyone. And all those high interest rates, yep, we don't get any of that. They just use our money. Yeah, so my thing is, why not you go out and get the money that they're getting by investing in the market? If you invest $10,000 at a rate of 1% at your local bank, and you may not even get 1%, but we're going to say 1%. You earn interest that year of $100 at 1%, right? But then you got to pay the $25 in taxes because the average tax bracket is 25%. So you take away that $25, your net earnings is $75. Okay. So then our balance is $10,075, right? But if inflation is at 3%, and I'm sure you guys have been hearing all over the news that inflation is going up now here, our buying power or our money would not be worth $10,075. It would only be worth $9,700. So what does that say for us? That says that we're actually losing money if we're investing in the bank at 1%, because average inflation is 3%, and it's about to go a little higher than that due to the pandemic and the cost of everything going up because people aren't working, gas prices. I mean, it's just so much going on with our world right now. What's going on with our money? For years, we've been told this three-legged stool theory, go to work, get a pension, save a little bit with like your 401k or even a savings account, and then you'll have Social Security. But gone are these days. Social Security is not secure. Where can you get a pension in 2021? So really the only thing we have left is our personal savings. So what are you doing for your personal savings to secure your future? This is the real question. And it's not just about saving, we actually need to invest. So this is just showing you a few different types of investments and looking at the rate of return of them. Of course, if we look at the traditional stock market, if you put a $10,000 investment in and you did that in December 31st of 1989, by December 31st of 2019, you had 172,000. And this is true to life as to what happened in that decade. 2 decades, looks like. If you have invested into a bond that's getting about 5% interest rate, maybe about a little higher, maybe 6, you have $56,000. If you're invested into a 30-day T-bill, it's $22,000. And just normal U.S. inflation, our $10,000 grew to about $20,000. So really, we need to find out as an individual, you personally and your family, what kind of return do you need to reach your goals? Some people are like, I'm not invested into the stock market. Even though I can get $172,000, it's too risky. I can lose all my money. So I want to invest in bonds. That's fine. Everybody has a lane that they operate in. I like to help my families be diversified. So we put a little bit in everywhere. So you get the growth that you want and the stability at the same time. There's a questions. I don't know what I missed, but the best way to save money for my grandchildren. They're 1 and 2 years old and one is 10. So we can actually always create a college fund for children that actually those funds work the same way that every other fund does. So we'll still look at where you want to place your money and how much money do you want to have for your grandchildren. So that's very doable with just with a kids college fund, or it doesn't necessarily have to be for college, but that's the way that they're worded. There are some accounts that are they can use the money however they want to, and the aid is designated by you as to when they will receive it. So that's a very good question. Thank you. Thank you. Next, we want to talk about investing with professional management. Most of us don't know what to do. So it's important. You're welcome. It's important that we actually understand how our money is invested. And again, you heard me say, pooling your money is the most safest way, especially for the everyday average person. Now, investing in the stock market, you want to do that, we can do that. Investing in just bonds, we can do that. Wanting diversification starts with a mutual fund. And what does that look like? It looks like I have individual investors. That's you, Debbie. That's you, Sween. That's you, Tequila. That's you, Jay Macklin. All of you guys have $10,000. And then you take your money and you pool it. So a little bit will go into Apple. A little bit will go to Home Depot. A little bit will go into the healthcare sector. A little bit will go into the auto industry. And so your money is placed in all of these little buckets. And so if one bucket turns over, like the auto industry did several years ago, your money's still growing in all those other buckets. So it's almost like the saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket. This is what they're talking about. Put one nest egg here, one nest egg here. So if one breaks, not only do you still have the others, but the others are still growing, still compounding, and still doing what they need to do. So it's a very safe way to invest into the global economy. Let's look here at these two investors. Both of them invested $100 a month into the market. Investor A put $100 into a rising market. Investor B put their $100 into a fluctuating market. And over 6 months, it's a difference of about $10, but they both still were growing. Here, investor A and investor B, who do you think earned more money? Investor A had $10 per share and bought 10 shares. In month 2, those shares went up to $12, $14, $16, $18, and then $20 by month 6. So he kept buying them and ended up with 42 shares. Investor B started out with $10 a share, bought 10 shares. Then they dropped down to 7. He bought 14 shares. Then they dropped down to 4. He then bought 25 shares. So on and so forth. But at the end, he ended up with 126 shares. However, investor A invested $600. Investor B invested $600. Investor A only had 42 shares, and his are worth $14 each, versus this other guy that only has shares worth $4. So this is how the market runs, and you want someone to manage your money that helps you to see which accounts are the best to buy in, the most stable, so that at the end, you'll have the most amount of money. A good way to keep your focus on your goals is to really just remember the 3 Ds of investing. And the first one is dollar cost averaging. I'm going to read that out to you guys so that I don't miss anything. Some investors take advantage in the downturn of the economy, and they buy when things are low. Others, and that's really what was happening here. When the shares are low, they buy more. When the shares are high, they buy less. So a good way to keep your focus on your goals is dollar cost averaging. And what that means is when you're investing a certain amount every month, regardless as to what's happening in the stock market, you'll be able to take advantage of what's happening with the highs and the lows. And that's what you saw with the investor A. You'll be purchasing fewer units when the prices are high. But when the prices drop down low, you get more shares. And then that protects you against any loss. And it's a systematic way to actually invest so that your potential payoff is much higher. Next is discipline. You guys all know what discipline is, right? It's just staying focused and staying invested through all of the marketing activity, not doing like that investor did and dropping off. Because even though that investor that was 22 and stopped investing at 29, even though they had more than that other investor that kept doing it, they almost had the same amount if you think about it. But if that first investor that started at 22 would have continued and had the discipline, they would have had twice as much money as the person who started at 30. So you got to stay disciplined and understand that the market's going to go up and down. But if you have a good manager over your money, then those up and downs are actually going to help your money grow as opposed to you losing. And there are no guarantees in investing, I have to say that. But dollar cost averaging definitely helps you stay on top. Next is diversification. Because again, no single investment is fail safe against risk. But when you have money and all your eggs are in different baskets, all your nest eggs are in different baskets, it's definitely going to make the difference as the market fluctuates, because the whole market doesn't go at once. Different areas, different sectors of life change at different times. Again, right now, if you had your money invested into restaurants, you would be losing. Because restaurants, a lot of them are not doing well. They're starting to do better now, but overall, because of the pandemic, a lot of people went belly up. A lot of businesses went belly up in that industry. So if your money was all invested into, let's say, Starbucks, or let's think of some food chains that aren't doing well. Let's say Panera, or what have you. I can hypothetically bring some things together, but you guys get the idea. It's just best to have your money in lots of different sectors so that one sector and its changes and fluctuations will not affect you. So I want to encourage you all to know that you can do this. These concepts that I've shared with you today are easy, okay? All you have to do is implement them, because there is definitely a financial war going on out here. Those of us that know and those of us that don't know. And the best way to win this war is to win those little battles every day. There is $20 that you spend probably on a daily basis running around that you throw it, you throw $20 away in a heartbeat, where it could be sitting in an account just growing for you. So if you can put together a simple plan and really follow it, your results will be amazing, absolutely amazing. Again, I am Rhonda Bird Hemphill, and I have brought this How Money Works presentation to you. I am a licensed insurance and investment broker, and because you have attended this webinar, I am offering you a free financial GPS. And that financial planning strategy shows you exactly where you are. You let me know where you want to be, and we'll find out exactly where you should be financially with your financial independence number. And then our system, it's all done by computers. You don't have to worry about me trying to calculate it. The system actually creates a roadmap for you to get there, just like you saw with the debt stacking, to the month and a year that you'll be debt free. So we found the problem is that most people just don't know these simple concepts as to how money works. They don't know how to use them to their advantage. They don't teach these things in school. We don't have a game plan. We don't plan our finances. We kind of just go month to month, check to check. You don't have to. There is support out here, and I'd be happy to help you guys. If you are interested in sitting down with me, it's all done virtually, just like we're on this webinar. You'll see my face on your computer screen or your phone, and we'll have, again, a free session just to talk about what you personally need. And if that's something you want to do, you can get directly on my calendar by following this link at bit.ly/free0529. Make sure that F is capital or the system won't recognize it. It's bit.ly/free0529. If you want to, just take a screenshot of this picture here and you'll have it there on your phone. This is the time for questions. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to post either in the Q&A or in the chat. I see one question. It says, can you talk a bit about Bitcoins and other things that are here right now? I am a licensed financial planner, and Bitcoins are not considered one of the things that I am licensed to sell. So especially with the fluctuations that they've been going through, I recommend that anyone who is looking to invest actually start with more stable investments. And that's really about all I can say about the Bitcoin situation. And again, if you just go online, you can see everything that's going on with Bitcoin right now. I don't know that you'd want to put your money there. In the chat, oh, there's a thank you. Okay, you're welcome. You're very welcome. Are there any other questions? The floor is open. If there are no more questions, I do have to share this slide here. This is our disclaimer, just to know who it is that I work for, Primerica Financial Services. And I am not an estate planner, tax advisor, budget planner, credit counselor, or any of those things. However, I am here to support you in your choices around your investments and managing your monies. If you have not found me, I am on Facebook and Instagram at Life, Wealth, and Health Coach for finances, and at Be Forever Well on Instagram. Are there any other questions? And if that's a no, for those of you who have stuck around to the end, I want to offer you a complimentary How Money Works workbook. If that's something that you're interested in, everything that we talked about, I think I have one here. Let me see. Yeah, here we go. And I'll put your email address in the chat if this is something that you would like. I'm going to stop the share so you guys can see me on the big screen. This is the How Money Works workbook. Everything that we talked about is in there, but you can put your own information in and plug it away so that you know for yourself what you have. And I'll send you a digital copy of this, okay? So that's for anyone. And for the fantastic young lady that has her son on here, I also have a How Money Works for Kids. I can send you both. Even though your son is 18, it also will still help him to begin to save now, and the language is a little different so that it's not, as formal. But I'd be very happy to send that to any of you who are interested. Like I said, just put your email address in the chat and I'll send that over. And if there is anything else, if not, I'm going to end the webinar again. If there's any questions, if not, I just want to thank you all for joining me here today. Again, it is my pleasure to be able to help families to grow and understand how money works. It's always a pleasure. And if you would like to schedule, bit.ly at free 0529. That's again bit.ly/@0529. I can definitely send you guys all the workbooks. Just let me know, put it in the chat, and I'll save the chat and make sure to send all that out to you guys this afternoon. Outside of that, it's at least a little sunny out there. I don't know if you all are in Michigan or other areas. Hopefully you can get out and enjoy this wonderful Memorial Day weekend with your family and friends and just begin to celebrate again, and we can get together. I love you all. Thank you. It's an honor to serve you. Take care. Oh, you're in Nebraska. That's fine. It's probably still cold there too. Either way, hopefully you get to enjoy this weekend. Thank you for joining, and thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.